one's going to be hard for me. I can already tell. I know what the subject is, and I do not say this very often. And I'm still not going to say it. Maybe you can convince me by the end of the episode. Good noon. Thank you for joining us on the brown shag carpet. That was a long intro, but we're going to roll with it. Thank you for joining us again. We have my two favorite people here.
I'm telling Becky you said so.
Well, he did say here, which was actually the limiter that I heard.
Oh.
Ferris Bueller, you're my hero.
So what are we talking about? Since I don't want to say it, somebody else can say it.
So we're talking about apologies.
It's okay.
Cory's going to talk about apologies because I don't like to make them.
Wow, I am in
Lori
the
and I
room.
are very similar, I can tell.
Wait, you know why?
Based off of last week's episode,
anyway.
too.
So there's an interesting story. Years ago, Lori and I used to work in customer service, in Christian camping, and conferences, and we learned from a guy whose name is Michael Holitz, who's incredible leader, incredible at customer service. I hope he's watching this. Hi, Michael. That as a retail or commercial or guest services establishment, statistically speaking, the guest who is most commonly wild about the customer service of your business is not the one for whom you have always gotten things perfect. The guest who is most likely to think that your customer service is amazing is the one who you've gotten it right, and then you've botched it, and then you've apologized well and made things right. That person statistically thinks your customer service is better than the person who's just always thought you were perfect. And I think it actually teaches us a little bit about apology that we can take into families. We have the idea that if we have to apologize, somebody has to lose, and that's not necessarily the case, but it does have to be an apology done right.
So I made the mistake of reading a book several years ago on the language of apologies and all of that kind of stuff, and discovered that my darling husband prefers his apologies to be about 5 paragraphs long. And unfortunately, he married a woman for whom
I should have seen this coming.
Apologizing is you're doing good to get more than I'm sorry. And I have to be really, really hard because
You have to say more than I'm sorry?
I love my husband and I respect my husband. And this is one of the reasons why. He will look at me and say, or when I used to be really bad, still am, about saying, well, I'm sorry you feel that way about that. And he'll say, that wasn't an apology, try again. Oh! Yeah, we have great conversations.
Interestingly enough, any apology that contains the word you is a suspect apology. I'm sorry you behaved in such a way that I had to be a jerk to you. Is not actually an apology.
Yeah,
why are you picking on me right now? Is it hot in here? Whew. Becky, turn the video off. Please.
So the apology should contain what the specific affront or error was.
Because if you're not apologizing for a thing, there's no use just apologizing for being you. Nobody who loves you is interested in that.
Okay, we'll just roll with that. But it also, you have to take responsibility for your behavior and not push your behavior off on somebody else's.
And the other one that closes it is making reparations. Because an apology that doesn't contain an element of this is what I'm going to do to make it right is really nothing more than just an admission of wrong that's sort of a standoff. Like, all right, I screwed up, deal with it. That's not an apology, right? That's an ultimatum.
You are getting every way that I apologize right now.
So,
man, it's too bad we don't script these because I'm getting hurt.
Well,
so a reparation says, you know what? I'm sorry. I messed up. I hurt your feelings, and this is what I'm going to do to make it right, or this is what I'm going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. That full circle is a full apology.
Right. And so just to say, to bring it back to the house, we have lots of apologies here, is one of our particular kiddos is a people pleaser. And so their gut reaction a lot of times is just look at you and go, I'm sorry. And I go, I don't want to hear another I'm sorry. I want to see the behavior change.
Right.
and that's probably also because I'm an acts of service. I need to see, like, put feet to where your mouth is.
Right. Apologies aren't magic spells. It's
No.
not the matter of getting the words right. They actually have to change the way that things happen or it doesn't happen. And interestingly enough, that's true for parents as well. Because we have a track record of expecting our children to apologize when they mess up and hating to apologize to our kids as if they thought we were perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And most of, so again, spoiler alert, your children don't anymore think you're perfect, and they think you're never scared and never confused, right? They know that you're imperfect, and hopefully you're teaching them that as an imperfect person forgiven by Christ, that's how we have value, period.
Right. Right.
And to be able to look at your kids and go, you know what, I blew it. I'm sorry, I got angry, I yelled, I said something I shouldn't have, I misunderstood what it was that you were trying to say, and I operated on it when I should have listened to you. Those things aren't a loss. Family's not a competition, right?
Yeah, I actually, I really am trying to practice these things that we talk about, and it was a couple of weeks ago. One of our kids said something, was trying to articulate, and I jumped in and assumed whatever it was, as I do, and got really ticked off, and drew my own conclusions, and that kiddo was trying to go back and re-articulate, and I finally understood what they meant, and I kind of apologized, and then they went to bed and whatever, and it just kind of dawned on me, no, I need to go make sure they knew I actually was apologizing, and then kind of reflect what I think they did mean and ask if that's true, and apologize for one, jumping in and assuming what they meant and all of that mess. So I actually went to their room that night and reiterated that, and that builds relationship. It matters.
It does. Our kids aren't confused. Our teenagers aren't confused. Even our little children aren't confused about the fact that apologies are expensive for adults. And when we learn to apologize to them, they see their value in our eyes. It can be an incredibly loving act to say to someone, you know what, I apologize, I messed up. And it's funny, like that retail industry, you know what, you can get it perfect for a lot of years, but, well, okay, let's be careful. You can get it perfect for a lot of minutes. But
Not
actually,
like you, Cory. That's right. We make mistakes more than every
no,
for every
stop
decade.
it. Apologizing builds relationship because people didn't think you were perfect anyway. And taking the time to give of your own dignity to build someone up and say, you matter and I will change the way that I've done that, doesn't do anything but invest in that relationship in a really tangible, powerful way. And that relationship is more important anyway.
And then I celebrated and I invested in our relationship because I went straight to our room and said, I just really apologized to so-and-so. And high-fived him like, I need you to recognize I was a grown-up. It built relationship.
One of my favorite quotes of all time, and I think I'm really nailing it in this episode right now, is I'm probably going to have to look up who actually wrote this because I've always said that it was Abe Lincoln. And that's probably not true because honesty is always his best policy. But it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. I don't know how appropriate that is, but it just keeps running through my head right now.
That's an absolute train wreck of an episode.
Well, I've made it through this entire episode without having to say I am the whole time, and I just bleeped that out. So I still didn't say it. But
you go find your kids. We're gonna pray for Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned nothing this episode.
Have a great day. See you next time on the brown shag carpet and the old brown chairs from IKEA, and we're not sure the provenance of the other one.
I apologize for the way you took this.
She didn't make me loud laugh. It's really loud.